Hello and welcome to Weather or Not. This week we've got the extraterrestrial scoop on a powerful solar storm and a well-grounded view of this year's start to the tornado season. With more winter weather on tap for Happy Valley, let's turn things over to this week's show. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Weather or Not starts right now. Hello and welcome to Weather or Not. I'm your host, Tom Bedard.
And I'm your forecaster, Christy Reuille.
Christy, I'll be honest, given the cold the past couple of days, I've been thinking about what it would have been like to have gone to a school in the South for my undergraduate degree.
You know, Tom, you and me both, because these cold temperatures, they've really been something. We've been about 20 degrees below average for the past couple of days.
It's been something else, and I've been looking at these long-range models thinking there's got to be some glimmer of hope in the future, some little warm spell like we had last week to hold on to get us through these cold weeks.
Unfortunately, the only thing that you can hold on to for the hope of warmth in the future is the fact that March 1st is technically the start to meteorological spring, but good luck feeling it.
So on that relatively melancholy note, we're going to turn things now over to the nature and the news stories, the first of which gets us out of the cold weather and out of the planet Earth itself. So let's turn things over to nature and the news.
The month of March is said to come in like a lion and out like a lamb. Marking the beginning of severe weather season for much of the United States, the recipe for dangerous weather is ready. With a cold atmosphere and warm surface from the increasing angle of the sun, tornadoes become a real and tangible threat this month. A Temple University professor, Dr. Reuille, believes that he can dampen this threat. In the American Physical Society's March meeting, Dr. Tao said that if we build 3 east-west Great Walls in the American Midwest, we will diminish the threats of tornadoes in Tornado Alley forever. Dr. Tao's assertion comes from the common belief that tornadoes form from the clash of cool continental and moist tropical air masses. Instead, as Dr. Greg Forbes of the Weather Channel refuted, the strongest tornadoes form from supercell thunderstorms, which are not directly caused by the clashing of the air masses. With no solution to getting rid of the tornadoes yet in sight, it's best to prepare early for tornado season.
Let's think warm thoughts. How warm? Well, close your eyes and imagine the surface of the sun. That's where our first Nature in the News story takes us. This past Monday, February 24th, a solar flare erupted from sunspot AR 1990. This solar flare created the largest coronal mass ejection seen so far this year and one of the largest in the past few years. This video shows the eruption of the coronal mass ejection, or CME, as seen from NASA's Solar Dynamics Observatory. The question on your mind may be if the CME poses a threat to the Earth. Thankfully, no. CMEs travel near the speed of light, making the trek from the sun to the Earth in a matter of minutes. If it had struck our planet, we would have experienced satellite interruption and technical difficulties earlier this week.
All right, let's take a look at your central Pennsylvania forecast for the weekend. Starting off on Friday, looks like a very nice day shaping up for us thanks to a high pressure system that will be in control of the weather across much of the northeast, bringing relatively clear skies, but it will be chilly. Temperatures here in central Pennsylvania won't make it out of the teens, so it will definitely be a day to bundle up with that coat and scarf as you head outside. That high pressure will make its way out of our area on Saturday, and the next system is hot on its heels waiting to move into our area, and that system will bring with it some snow showers that we will be experiencing on Sunday as this cold front moves through. So for our Friday right here in State College, the main story will be the cool temperatures. Only 17 degrees is expected for our high, so even though you can see that bright blue sky and that sunshine, it won't feel very warm at all. Friday night, you will definitely want to keep that coat close by as temperatures are going to get down to around 13 degrees. We will see increasing clouds as that next system makes its way into our neck of the woods. Saturday, more clouds on their way in as temperatures warm up a little bit more. We should get up to around 32 degrees on Saturday. That's still below our average for this time of year. And then Saturday night, The clouds continue and temperatures will fall to around 25 degrees. And then for Sunday, we see that snow arrive with a high temperature of around 34 degrees. Now here's Jill.
Believe it or not, spring is rapidly approaching, even though it may not look or feel like it. But this upcoming weekend brings a noteworthy time of the year. Meteorological spring, which begins on March 1st, marks the beginning of severe weather season. I had the opportunity to talk with Dr. Matthew Cumgen, a new faculty member here in the Department of Meteorology.
Well, the severe weather season typically begins in the meteorological spring, which is March, and it kind of picks up between April and May, especially in the central part of the United States, and can last into June as you go farther up in the northern plains. And that's the prime time of year for tornadoes, hail, severe wind events. The environmental conditions in the southern and central plains are conducive to these supercell storms, and that includes a lot of instability, which means the atmosphere is primed for these very energetic storms with strong updrafts. And also you tend to get a lot of vertical wind shear, which just means that the wind speed and direction changes with height as you go up in the atmosphere. And when you pair those two things together out in the central and southern plains, they are conducive to making these storms rotate. And that rotation is a key ingredient that starts the process that you need for tornadoes to form. And it just happens there more frequently than any other place in the United States.
Moist, low-level flow from the Gulf, mid-upper-level winds, and wind shear are just some of the ingredients for a storm. Because of their rotation, supercell storms are the ones that produce the largest hail. The southern and central plains are the most conducive to these storms, so that part of the country receives the largest hailstones. The most recent record was back in August of 2010 in Vivian, South Dakota. A new United States record was measured at 8 inches in diameter and weighed nearly 2 pounds. But things are changing in the world of radar to help better detect the likelihood of hail.
So recently, as of last spring, the entire National Weather Service radar network was upgraded to have dual polarization capabilities. And so what that means is these Doppler radars now transmit and receive electromagnetic energy waves that are polarized at both horizontal and vertical directions. And essentially what that means is you can now tell not only where the storm is and how intense it is and which direction it's moving, but you can also tell the shapes and types of particles that are present within the storm. And so one of the most intriguing signatures that we see in severe storms with the dual polarization radar is what's called the tornadic debris signature. So when there is a tornado that's producing damage and lofting damage and debris up into the air, up to the heights where the radar can measure it, you can actually see a pinpoint of where that debris is. And so it offers confirmation to the National Weather Service employees that there is in fact a tornado that's doing damage presently when they see this signature on radar. Also, there's some promise that we may be able to start determining hail size from the dual polarization radars. Currently, the radars are very good at distinguishing between rain and hail, so we can tell unambiguously if there's hail present in a storm. However, in the future, we're working towards trying to be able to actually measure the hail size with these radars so that we can get better confidence on the degree of warning that the Weather Service forecasters can put out.
The switch over to dual polarization will help the National Weather Service issue warnings and watches. You may think these are the same, but it is important to know that they are not.
Terminology used by the National Weather Service is two levels of sort of a watch or warning. So the severe thunderstorm watch means that the conditions in your environment, in your local area, are conducive to severe thunderstorm development sometime in the next few hours. However, if they upgrade that to a severe thunderstorm warning, that means a severe storm is actually approaching you and there's a severe storm that's already happening and it's coming towards you, and you need to take precautionary measures immediately. Same sort of thing with a tornado watch. Tornado watch just means that the conditions are favorable for storms to produce tornadoes sometime in your area in the next several hours. Whereas a tornado warning means that either a tornado has been spotted by trained spotters or law enforcement officials, or it has been detected on the Doppler radar, and they think that tornado genesis is imminent. So definitely when you hear the warning, that's a much more urgent measure that needs to be taken. So I lived in Oklahoma for just over 9 years, went to school there for a long time, And in Oklahoma, people are pretty adapted to living in an environment conducive to severe storms. So the public is very savvy. The people on TV do an excellent job at conveying the warnings and the information that needs to be presented. And it's just sort of a way of life out there that every spring, when spring rolls around, you know that there's a chance for severe storms. So if you have a nice car, you want to get a garage, because almost everyone out there has hail dents in their car, including mine. It's out in the parking lot. I've shouted out my windshield a few times with large hail. And tornadoes happen as well, but people know what to do. They have emergency plans. A lot of people do have shelters, especially because of some recent events that have been very bad out there. So it seems like the panic factor is a lot less out there. People seem to know what to do, but it does get scary every once in a while when you're out on the road or something and there's a tornado warning or a tornado emergency, as this happens sometimes, and you get stuck in traffic, and it's kind of not a good place to be. So you never want to be complacent about tornado warnings or severe storm warnings, even if you are used to them and used to dealing with that type of weather.
Dr. Kumjian also had some tips to prepare for severe weather.
First and foremost, you want to have a plan in advance of when the warning happens. You don't want to be sort of improvising if there's a tornado approaching you. A lot of times you have very limited time, less than 20 minutes to take cover and to be safe. So having a family emergency plan of knowing where people are and where they're going to go in those events is of utmost importance. Second, even though, especially in this area with a lot of meteorology students and people interested in weather, a lot of people say, hey, it's just a warning, let's go out and look and see if we can see it. That's really a bad idea. A lot of times you can't see it if the situation is messy, including like rain-wrapped tornadoes or things like that. And so the Weather Service is serious. They when they issue a warning, it means that there's an imminent threat to your life or property. And so you do need to take cover and heed those warnings, and don't just be complacent about them.
It is important to follow these tips when dealing with the potential for severe weather. Remember that safety is always first. For Weather or Not, I'm Jillian Bohenek.
All right, let's take another look at that forecast for the weekend. Again, the big story on Friday will be the cool temperatures. Highs of only around 17 degrees, so that sunshine won't feel very warm, even though we will get a chance to see it for once. Saturday, clouds, and then Sunday, another round of snow. And as we look towards next week, we will see below average temperatures for the first part of the week, but then as we head into the end of the week, we do see a chance to get back up close to average.
Now, Christy, it's been incredible to watch the sun melt away the high snowpack that we've had in State College. Are you telling me now that's mostly gone away, that we're about to add to that?
Unfortunately, we are.
Okay, so in a case of not trying to kill the messenger, we're going to use this week's Weather Whiz quiz to debate the dispute across campus, which has been which city has seen its snowiest season on record? A, State College, Pennsylvania, B, Buffalo, New York, C, Toledo, Ohio, or D, Atlanta, Georgia? The answer is C, Toledo, Ohio. Now, the same jet stream mechanism that's been bringing us this really cold air, that dip in the upper jet stream or the more northern jet stream, also provides a mechanism for clipper systems to trail out of Western Canada. You might hear the term Alberta clipper thrown around a lot, and that's what we're talking about. So you might have a lot of these storms that don't produce a lot of snow, but that eventually adds up.
It does, and those storms have made their way over to our neck of the woods and have given us quite a bit of snow this season. We had a snowpack here on campus up to 16 inches, and while a lot of that, like you mentioned, has melted away, we're going to be putting a little bit more back on top this weekend.
And I hope we get to see the grass one day and we're not adding up to another nearly 3-foot snowpack. But that's going to be it for this week's episode of Weather or Not. I'm your host, Tom Bedard.
And I'm your forecaster, Christy Reuille.
Go Penn State.